Welcome back to Limitless Mentality, where we discuss profound psychological truths to help you improve your life. Today we're diving into the hidden mental shortcuts that keep you stuck, and you don't even realize they're running the show. These automatic habits in your thinking seem helpful on the surface, but they quietly limit your potential, influence your decisions, and hold you back in ways that are easy to miss. Number 1. Confirmation bias. This one is sneaky because it feels like you're just being logical. Confirmation bias happens when you only notice information that supports what you already believe. If you think you're bad at relationships, your mind will keep pointing out every awkward moment, every misunderstanding, and every failed attempt, while ignoring the times you handled things well. Over time, this creates a mental echo chamber that reinforces your negative beliefs. It doesn't just affect how you see the world, it shapes what you expect from it. That's why so many people feel stuck in patterns they can't break. The truth is, they're not seeing the full picture, just the pieces that match their current story. Number 2. The Dunning-Kruger Effect. This is the shortcut that tells you, you've got this, when maybe you really don't. The Dunning-Kruger Effect is when people with low ability in something overestimate how skilled they are. The worst part, the less you know about a subject, the more confident you often feel. It sounds backward, but that's because you don't yet know what you don't know. This mental shortcut can keep you from seeking help, learning more, or even just staying open to feedback. You might avoid growth opportunities because you think you're already good enough, while others quietly outgrow you. Number 3. Negativity bias. Our brains are wired to notice threats more than rewards. Back in caveman days, that made sense. If you missed a berry, no big deal. If you missed a predator, game over. But in modern life, this bias can completely distort your perspective. You might have 10 good things happen in a day, but your brain latches onto the one awkward comment someone made. That single moment replays in your head like a broken record. This shortcut doesn't just make you feel anxious or insecure. It can drain your motivation, making you think things are worse than they actually are. Number 4. Cognitive dissonance. This one hits especially hard when you want to grow. Cognitive dissonance is the discomfort you feel when your beliefs and actions don't line up. Instead of changing your behavior, your mind will twist reality to make things feel consistent. For example, if you skip the gym but believe health is important, your brain might justify it by saying, rest is just as important as exercise. That sounds reasonable, right? But when this happens repeatedly, it becomes a pattern of self-deception. You tell yourself stories that make you feel better in the short term, but they keep you stuck in the long term. Number 5. The sunk cost fallacy. This shortcut convinces you to stay committed to something just because you've already invested time, money, or energy into it, even when it's clearly not working. People stay in toxic relationships, dead-end jobs, or projects that no longer make sense because I've already put so much into this. But that thinking ignores a critical truth. What matters isn't what you've already spent. It's what continuing to spend will cost you. Letting go feels like losing, but it's often the only way to move forward. Number 6. Availability heuristic. This one makes you believe that what's easiest to remember is also the most common or important. For example, if you hear about a few bad airplane crashes on the news, you might start thinking flying is super dangerous, even though statistics say it's safer than driving. This shortcut skews your judgment. In personal development, it can cause you to overestimate rare risks and underestimate everyday habits. You'll avoid speaking up because you remember that one time it went badly, but forget the quiet victories that actually mattered more. Number 7. Status quo bias. We all like what feels familiar. But sometimes, we confuse familiar with safe, even when it's not. The status quo bias is the tendency to prefer things to stay the same, simply because they already are. It's why people keep routines that don't serve them, or avoid taking action, even when they're deeply unhappy. This bias whispers, "Don't rock the boat," even when the boat is sinking. And since change often comes with uncertainty, your mind convinces you it's better to stick with what you know, even if it's the very thing holding you back. Number 8. Self-serving bias. This one makes failure feel less painful, but it also keeps you from growing. Self-serving bias is when you attribute your successes to your own efforts, but blame failures on external factors. Got a promotion? You earned it. Missed a deadline? The team let you down. While this helps protect your self-esteem in the short term, it stops you from honestly evaluating your actions. Growth requires taking responsibility, not for everything, but for enough that you can learn and adjust. If you always shift the blame, you'll never see what needs to change. Number 9. Projection. This mental shortcut makes you assume others feel the same way you do. If you're feeling insecure, you might think others are judging you. If you're angry, you'll see anger in others, even if it's not there. Projection creates emotional blind spots. You react to what you believe people are thinking, not what they're actually thinking. And when your reality is shaped by your own projections, you end up fighting battles that only exist in your mind. That disconnect can keep you trapped in cycles of misunderstanding and missed connection. Number 10. Learned helplessness. This isn't just a shortcut, it's a trap. Learned helplessness happens when your mind has been conditioned to believe that no matter what you do, you won't make a difference. It often comes from repeated failure or trauma. Over time, you stop trying. You assume that things will stay the same, even when they could change. This belief becomes self-fulfilling. You don't apply. You don't speak up. You don't move forward. Not because you're incapable, but because you've been mentally trained to believe you are. Breaking this pattern starts with recognizing that those old experiences don't define your future. You're not the same person you were back then, and now you get to choose differently. The shortcuts your mind uses aren't flaws, they're survival tools. But in a world that's no longer about escaping danger, they can quietly become the very things that trap you. Once you start noticing these patterns, you take back your power. You stop running on autopilot and start making choices that align with who you really want to be. That's where growth begins, not in perfection, but in awareness. Which one of these mental shortcuts do you recognize most in your own life? And what's one way you're going to challenge it starting today? If you found this video helpful, subscribe for more eye-opening insights. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and stay limitless.